Now we got Ryan's car in here. This is the one with the Torqstorm that we're doing gonna tune it on 93, then E85, E85 no filter, and then try these, would you call them Bellmouths? Or there's another name for them too as well, isn't there? Velocity stacks?
Bellmouth would be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Made by Ghost 10 on Instagram. He sent us out a couple.
With some anti-turbulent
Nice.
notches.
And we all made guesses on what it's gonna make. This one has a 3.1, 6.0, BTR2 centrifugal cam that we did a long time ago, and it feels like a really long time ago. But it probably hasn't been that long. And we all guessed our guesses, so here's where we're at with those. 93, E85 with a filter, E85 no filter, and we didn't really guess with these because, you know, we're all wondering what they're gonna do, so that'll be interesting to see. Okay, so to get our baselines in before we start with the Bellmouths, we are getting the car dialed in on the dyno. On 3.1 pulley, 93 with a filter, 527, 492 torque, and with no filter, no other changes, 552, 510 torque. It picks up everywhere by pulling the filter, and air fuel was dead even, so gives us good baselines for where we're going to be at with E85, and then with E85 no filter, and then these guys. Anything you want to add, Dusty?
We just didn't want to push it too hard on 93 because 93 is right around gas.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to try the Bellmouth for 93. We just kind of want to give them the ballpark and then.
And it's making, for points of reference, this is approximate numbers, 8 pounds or so with the filter on. I'm sorry, 7 to 8, and then 9 to 10, depending on the RPM. So it's picking up about 2 pounds of boost, generally filtered or no filter, thus the reason the gain for the horsepower.
Thanks, Ghost 10.
We finished up with the 93 filter, no filter, E85 filter, no filter, and the small Bellmouth. Some good results, and Dusty is having to clearance this one slightly for the 8-inch. So we tuned it in on 93, 93 no filter, E85, E85 no filter, and then now we have, we'll put all those numbers up somewhere at the end. I will go over those maybe even at a later time. But the point of this one was a tuned car with the 3 different setups, meaning no filter at all, the 6-inch Bellmouth, and then the 8-inch one, which we had to trim a little bit to fit, but doesn't seem to have hurt it. And it did pick up a little bit on each one. These are for, this is an imperfect world, of course, but what we did is we did 10 minutes of cool down between each one. So this is no filter with about 10 minutes of cool down, the 6-inch with 10 minutes of cool down, and the larger one with 10 minutes of cool down.
Yep.
And
18 and the torque curve, the torque is massive.
I think, and when I looked at the logs, what it looks like happens is the larger ones give us a little bit more boost. We see small differences in boost, and I know with variances in heat and driving conditions and DA and how warm the car is, how warm the blower is, some of that varies. So we try to be as fair as we could. What did you see, Dusty?
Yeah, that sounds right. I think it does smooth. The purpose of it obviously is to smooth the air coming into the impeller. The impeller is pretty close to the face of the blower on this one, so obviously we pick up boost with the filter off. Yep. But I think what you can't really see is the turbulent airflow that's right around where the filter adapter is on the blower, like where you have a sharp edge and the air's starting to tumble right there, and I don't think you cover the whole face of the impeller with smooth air, and I think
that's why we think the graphs are smoother up here. I did no changes in air fuel, which it didn't really change the air fuel, and I didn't change anything with spark. We literally just let it cool down 10 minutes between each one.
And you said you verified that the coolant and the intake air temperature.
Yeah, I tried to get the coolant about 170 and the air intake temperature between 70 and 80 at the time of the initial hit. So, it's about as close as we can get, I think, for numbers. But overall, I would definitely recommend them, as they did pick up. And what he's saying is on the smoothness is like, even though this one is also higher, and it's zoomed in, so the differences aren't as big as they look. I mean, it is 10 horsepower, but we're zoomed in. But you see how much smoother the line is? And you get down here with the no filter and then the Bellmouth here, they're kind of choppy. All of them are kind of just choppy.
It's definitely a smoother graph with either or.
Yeah, and that's because, when you have no filter and you just have an open...
And we didn't have room to put a filter element on here, which was kind of the plan. There's just, on these cars...
Here's what we're looking for.
There's no space here, and you can see we had to trim because of the strut tower here, which obviously, like Chris said, I don't think it affected it much.
No. I think if I was going to do one, I would do the larger one and go ahead and just send it with this for like a race thing, and then run the filter around town. I'm a big fan of running a filter when you're not at the track, because I'm afraid of getting stuff sucked into my supercharger.
Sure. Definitely keeps your top end cleaner.
And this one, we probably could have turned it a little bit harder and, things like that, but we're running out of fuel, which we figured we were going to. It actually made more power than we thought. And at the very end here, we'll have everything pulled up while Dusty's unstrapping it. Or, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to just make you do work. While we're finishing up, I'll pull up the different graphs and show the difference between 93 and E85 on this G8, because this G8 did really well for the setup. I mean, this is a mystery machine if we've ever seen one.
We all put our guesses down on paper.
And I showed that at the beginning. We
were done.
Yeah. So. We were way off. It made well over 600, and we did let it cool down really good and do a glory pass, which I'll put up here at the end too. But I just wanted to go over the differences, and I think, again, Ghost 10, he did a great job sending us over everything, and they look really good quality.
Yeah,
sure. I'm not sure if he's going to sell them or if he's not, but he just wanted us to try them and give us some unbiased, data. And we never made less after putting them on, whether they were hot, the car was hot, cold, or whatever. So it literally could not hurt in any way, and you're going to see a little bit of gain in all of those. It's much later. We did another car for Ryan. Gorgeous.
There you
go. So we already went over the Bellmouth stuff, but just for future reference, and hey, here's what a G8 makes with the Torqstorm BTR2 in all its configurations. 527, 492 torque is 93 filter on, 552, 510 is 93 filter off, 558, 521 is E85 filter on, and 610, 541 is E85 filter off.
And talk about the boost numbers.
The boost numbers, 93, depending on what RPM we turned it, and the temperature of the air intake was anywhere between 7 and 8 with the filter on, and with the filter off, we were seeing between 9 and 10. There again, depending on the air intake temp and how hard we turned it. Especially on the higher RPM or the higher horsepower pools, you see I let out of it earlier. It's running out of fuel, so we had to stop it where it was safe. Overall, good dyno day. And then the Bellmouths, I know we already talked about it, but they of course picked up a little bit over these, and the graphs moved out a lot. I think that's due to the flow of air into the supercharger. Anyways, hey, Dusty. I'm working over here, man.
Working over there.
Gosh. All right, guys, I'm out.